Hi, I'm Mario Guerra, the two-time former mayor of the great city of Downey. And you're listening, Talking Downey with Mayor Mario this morning. I have a great guest with me on there, a longtime dear friend too, on there, Mr. Jorge Villa. George, welcome, man. How you doing?
Good, Mario.
Good.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. George is the president of the DDIA, Downtown District Improvement Association on there. So, George, tell us a little bit, what is the DDIA here for Downtown Downey?
You know, it's an association. Well, technically, it's the group of property owners here. It's a geographically defined area where they agreed to tax themselves. So they pay extra property taxes. And in turn, the DDIA is going to use those funds, one, to keep the community safe, clean, but also to develop it, to bring more business here, just to increase the overall. In essence, if you're the property owner, you want to increase your property values by the tax. And we're doing that by bringing more businesses here, more activities, just putting Downtown Downey on the map. That's what we're doing. And
it's changed a lot in the last 2 years, post-COVID. Pre-COVID, it had just started, and it wasn't doing much. And now post-COVID, man, it's just blown up in a good way.
Yeah. Well, that was the challenge. That really we started right before COVID, and then COVID hit, and we were basically stalled for probably about 18 months before we could do much. So, we really couldn't invite people to come out and
George,
gather.
Some people say we're getting to be a victim of our own success with a lot of activity going downtown, but
that's part of it. But that can be mitigated. You find ways to do that and improve it, as opposed to if you don't have anyone here, and then there's nothing to work with. So
there's some great things on there from cleaning up, from security, but also you have the downtown market every couple of weeks on there. You've had several events to help promote things and businesses on there. New website, new communications, if you will. So it's getting pretty exciting. The one thing that's kind of cool that the city is doing too is the marquee sign, one of those marquee signs that go over the street that's like, you take a selfie with, and it lets everybody know you're in Downtown Downey.
You need something that's going to help us stand apart and identify. Some of those things you see in a lot of other downtowns, and we've kind of followed that. But you need something special where people will take the pictures, and that's what we do today. So that's why we have cameras on our phones.
So full disclosure, George is also my landlord. The building that I'm at right here, right next to Portos on the corner of Downey Avenue and Firestone. So, George, I've known you since 2008, I guess. So we were just talking about it 18 years ago.
Mario, recently I heard you say a comment about here being in leaving Granada's one evening and being in the center of the downtown street, and that was very similar. I'm the property manager, asset manager for the Portos family, and this is one of the properties that I help. In fact, this is what brought me to Downey. I was in Burbank previously. But I remember when Raul Porto, Jr., senior, who just passed recently, I'm sure everybody heard that.
It's sad.
I have very, very fond memories, and hopefully rest in peace. But anyways, Raul called me, and he told me that they were looking at this property here for the bakery. And I remember I was actually in San Clemente visiting my sister. And I told my wife on the way home, let's stop by this area. And it was a Saturday night. I'll never forget. It was probably 9 p.m. that we came here, and we came down Downtown Downey Avenue, and I stopped. There was no one. I mean, I literally said the same thing you did. I remember I called Raul. I go, Raul, I could lay down in the middle of the street here. And I'd probably be okay in the morning. And I'm not going to be run over. So, it was very quiet. Not that was necessarily a bad thing. That's where it was.
That's what it was.
But, it's definitely changed since then quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was interesting. That was in 2008 and 2009. So when we had for the city council, believe it or not, it was a 2-2 vote on the council whether to help out with that parking lot there for Porto's Bakery to come to Downey. It was amazing that it could, you think now, like, oh my God, this is the genesis of the revitalization of downtown. I don't know, thousands of people a day that come here, even more so on the weekend. We're known as a Porto's place. But then that night on the council, because one council member had to excuse himself for a conflict, it was 2-2. And one of the councilwomen, Ann Baer, says, oh, we shouldn't help any one business that much. And it's like, this is transformational for the city of Downey. So the other person that also just went along, Dave Gaffin, God bless him, the former mayor Dave Gaffin, great man. So then we took him to the Burbank Portos, so he could see what a Portos looks like, what the revitalization of what that did there, and everything else. So I brought it up again. I was mayor, brought it up again, and then it became a 3-1 vote, so it passed. I can't imagine where our downtown would be without Portos. But yeah, you were involved in that, and I remember sitting there trying to say, guys, we will do this. We will get this done, and that was a big deal.
Well, the bakery definitely creates a synergy. I mean, we feel it here in the office.
Yeah.
Just, if you ever, in fact, I was here on Monday during the holiday. I came in for a while to work, and it's extremely quiet. It's quite a different atmosphere than you typically would have here, even on a regular weekday, just because of the people coming. So it makes it a lot more enjoyable to come to work.
Yeah.
Not to say you have a great place to eat. And I always say I eat at Portos more than home.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes, I've gone out my window and taken pictures of the line. There's been lines around the building, as you guys know. So many on there. But they're quick and they're efficient, and I love all this stuff. You did mention Mr. Portos, and obviously 92 years old, the patriarch of the family. Tell us a little bit about it. You've been with the family so many years. The one thing about the Portos family, which I love, they're very modest, they're very humble, they're just good people. And so forth. They don't, you'd think they'd be fighting to brag about themselves or what they've done. They've accomplished amazing things. They're not that way at all. They're just pretty humble people that just want to provide a good service and make a lot of people happy. So
I mean, you described it as best as anyone could. They're just hardworking, most Americans and immigrants that come to this country, that you're just trying to get ahead, and that's what they did. They worked hard. I've known Raul and I have been friends. Probably I was a senior in high school. We're the same age, but he was 1 year ahead of me. He was at a junior college, and with a friend of mine, I happened to go over there, and they introduced us, and we became friends. But just people don't understand the hard work up front. Not just Portos. I don't want to make it just about Portos. It's most business owners and families that come here. They work hard to get ahead. And I remember from a young age when Raul and I became friends, and they were young. I mean, he was going to college and all that. And his day off, I used to tell people, it was every other Sunday. And then Betty did the same, and Margaret. They just all worked really hard. And that's a sacrifice that all small business owners make in this country. And again, as I want to just veer it a little away from Porto, it's not just them. We got to be careful. I think sometimes, when we pass regulations, and I don't want to make this about politics, but sometimes we do things with the right intent, but it's really hurting people who have small businesses and are trying to grow. And we try to. I think we have to help them as much as we can, but that's really you've heard it said before, the backbone of this country.
There's a lot of things. Sometimes you pass something that we see in the state of California where, to open up a restaurant, you have to report to 8 different agencies and get things on there. So it's
it's overwhelming.
It is. You just want to work hard and do this. The same thing. I love that immigrant story. I remember Betty Porto telling us how, their bedroom as kids had all the cakes on it that their mom was baking and that kind of stuff on there. So mine was a little bit different, but, I came as a little boy. I was, on the third Freedom flight. And when we came, my dad was a surgeon in Cuba. And here he had to learn the language and, of course, get all his credentials and stuff. So he did all that, tried to do that at night. But what do immigrants do, right? When they come here, they get a job. You got to support the family. So my dad started as a janitor at California Hospital in downtown L.A. Years later, he was a surgeon at California Hospital in downtown. America, what a great country this America on there. So again, you hear those stories on there, the refugee stories, and again, we're just a couple of them. There's just so many more on there. Just obviously, the Portos family is highlighted. I've got to know several of their kids too. The three Marguerite, Betty, and Raul Jr. But then their kids, the grandkids on there. My daughter went to school with a couple of them at LMU, and now they're all in the business world and everything else. So there's something good happening there that they can continue with that, So, but anyway, well, you and I talk about stories and things on there, and sometimes I get once in a while he'll tell me something inside baseball on the bakery. So you guys notice I always have a different coffee cup, and I was able to find mine today. This was given out when they did the Burbank. No, not the Burbank. The Buena Park. The Buena Park on there. I got connections, right? Yeah. So I got one of the cups on there. So then when people come in here, I actually don't use it every day. People say, "Where'd you get that? I want one of those." So George got tired of people going and asking. There weren't that many around. But I do have one on there, of course. That was
it's a great looking cup.
I love being mayor when we did the groundbreaking here, and my name on the plaque down there, and that's always something I'm proud. I could have had zero crime in the city of Downey, and I'll always be the mayor that helped bring Portos to town on there. So,
Downey, there's one thing I learned when I came to Downey. I was out in Burbank, and for the most part, I was a commercial real estate broker all my adult life, and I was working San Fernando Valley and Burbank, but it was more San Fernando Valley, North Hollywood, the whole entire valley. And I wasn't familiar with, besides Burbank and Glendale, but I really wasn't familiar with the small city communities, especially ones that were predominantly Hispanic, like over here. What you see in the San Fernando Valley was something different. And when I came to Downey is when I really learned how you can manage a city correctly. And that these small communities work. They function. There's a pride in ownership and everything, and you still see that. I mean, this is how many years later, and I'm still amazed when you drive through Downey that there's a real pride of being a homeowner in Downey, a resident. You could be a tenant. It doesn't matter. But if you're in Downey, there's pride for being here.
Yeah. So it's a special place on there.
Absolutely.
So I'll give you a couple of stories. When we talked Raul out of making a taller parking lot. We're seeing the 2-story parking lot there. And that was me, like an idiot, on there because we had nothing that tall here. That's before the view came downtown and so forth. And I thought a 3-story parking lot would be too much. What do I know? I'm an idiot. Okay, so Raul Portos is right. He says now he likes it the way it is.
No, but, when we came over, this all used to be open.
Yeah.
Right. And that used to be a single-story parking lot, and at that point, it wasn't a requirement to build the parking lot because there was sufficient parking with the parking structure that was constructed next to what was then the Krikorian. So there was it wasn't a requirement, but I think the concern was minimizing the impact.
Right.
On the rest of the community by having the own parking, and the vision in that is that's what allowed the city to grow too.
Yeah.
Because if you had just every customer who came to Portos and the employees parking in that parking structure, you'd be taking parking away from the rest of the businesses here. Right. So by him building, the family building the second level in the parking structure, it accomplished something that maybe we really didn't even envision it then. Yeah. But it did now allow for growth because you need parking for your retail to grow. Right. So,
well, I'll tell you. When I say the genesis for the revitalization, I wasn't kidding. So, and this was a couple years ago, but I was once asking Betty, and she told me, it averaged, 6,000 or 7,000 people a day, and on a weekend it was like 12 to 15,000 people. And at that point, before the Portos started opening up at other places, it was like 80% were from outside the city of Downey. So, and here's the kicker. This is the part that everybody should be real proud about. So Portos opens up, and then within a mile radius, 15 new restaurants opened up, okay? So they, you bring people downtown, and then the DDIA was born, and hence the success on there. Yeah. One restaurant, outside of Portos, but one restaurant is bad, 15 is great, because people are going to want to come to that area to eat. You can't eat at the same place every day.
And all these restaurants create employment.
Yes.
And when my first venture into construction was actually this bakery, and I was very fortunate they allowed me the opportunity to do it. I learned a lot. It was pretty amazing. But at the end of the project, after the bakery opened, when people would ask me, what is it that I enjoyed the most, Mario, it wasn't until the end. It was when they started hiring the kids the kids that I would see line up here to submit their
Yeah.
applications,
Yeah.
that was to me the biggest thrill. I mean,
Yeah.
just to see them, their enthusiasm, and just what a great bunch of kids
Oh, yeah.
that they were able to hire, and they still do.
They
I
do.
mean, you
Well,
know,
that's the one thing that Portos is known for that friendliness. It's like like a Disneyland of employees. You know, everybody always makes a thing about Disneyland. They're taught different. They're trained differently. It's amazing. Up until only a couple years ago that they even write down the thing. They used to have to memorize it. And they used to have classes on memorizing orders and stuff like that. So even to this day, I was there yesterday, and everybody's very friendly and very hospitable.
I don't know how they manage it, but they do.
Yeah,
they
that's
do.
great.
I mean, I think they have a great pool to
Yeah.
find employees from, but
Right.
they're exceptional. They're exceptional. They come and they go. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a stepping stone for many of them. They're in school, and I
Right.
see that, and
Right.
and it's great to see them go and
Right.
move on, and it almost saddens me when I see them. I was just
Oh, yeah.
recently, I had to take my father to a doctor's appointment, and someone asked me about Portos, and I realized it was one of the kids who was working at Kaiser was an employee here once. And I said hello.
Oh,
So it's great to see them move on
Yeah.
and in their careers,
Yeah.
but you miss them because they become like a family. when you
yeah,
see 'em every
yeah.
day, so.
Well, I didn't get this way overnight.
Yeah.
In the morning, downstairs, I have, and they're smart too, you can smell it. So when I get out of the car, I can come this way, and I can go left to come into this building, or I can go right into Portos, and I mess up a lot more than not on there. That was interesting. One thing about the flexibility and working together with the city and so forth, because I remember the original building here for the Porto was going to be like a Mediterranean. It was going to be similar to the Burbank, the Burbank one, and so forth. And when we talked to them, because we wanted a different look in our downtown and everything else, we wanted more of the mid-century modern and so forth. And the Portos are accommodating. You look at it, it's beautiful still to this day. But they changed the whole format. I think now you're doing more of these when you open up new ones.
Each one's, I mean, I think each one stands on its own independent architectural.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. In here, the original design was more like Burbank, more
Burbank,
Spanish
yeah.
style, and then they
Yeah.
said they wanted exactly what you said, a little more modern. And that was probably 6 months into the design process, and
Wow.
they backed out, completely redesigned the building,
Yeah.
and came back. So.
That's amazing. That was amazing out there. So I was proud to be here, be mayor on the opening day. 2009? Has it been that long? Wow. 2009. So God bless the Portos families. Okay, so downtown. So last night the city council was on their agenda. That little alley that we have there too, they allowed it to have a mural. Okay. What do you think of murals?
Well, I think they're great. I mean, the first one was
Delicious?
The Delicious. I remember when you came to me.
Yes.
I was like, "What?" I mean, I was fearful that the mural would actually attract graffiti. I mean, it couldn't have been more from the truth. I mean, it was
it's the other way around.
100%. It
Yeah.
probably protects you from graffiti, but I knew little about it.
Yeah.
And again, that was another issue where we're talking about Downey, but another one where. I went to the Portos family and said, absolutely. Yeah, the mural, if they want to do the mural, we'll do the mural. And it was absolutely the right decision. So
It's so many. I see out my window.
Yeah.
I guarantee you every single day there's one or two people taking a photo
pictures
in front of it. That's
And now that we're
Don Lampkin is the artist, by the way, the Delicious.
absolutely.
When we I'll give you some inside baseball on there, and that staff is no longer here. So it was taking a long time, okay, for that to get approved back and forth. So once I just went to George and Raul Portos Jr., I said, hey guys, why is this taking so long, to do the paperwork to get the approval to paint the mural? And they were as nice as can be. They looked at each other almost like, do we tell him, that what's going on? And I even said, I go, okay, what's the delay here? And I knew it wouldn't have been on their side. I just didn't know what it was. So what the city was asking them, and remember, this is their property. They were going to do us a favor by letting us paint onto their property on there. Obviously, it faced Downtown Downey. And they look at each other and they finally said, well, they kept asking us, and the paperwork is basically, it's almost like a deed. We're turning over the property ownership of that parking lot for the deed and the liability on that painting. Yet, and I'm like, wait a second, you're doing us a favor. Why are we required? It should be the other way around. The city should hold you harmless for it and the whole thing. So once that got on there, I went back to City Hall, talked to the powers that be on there, and then it started.
Yeah, it was an easement.
Yes.
So what happens with utilities, and it's pretty standard language, with utilities, you're going to have an easement. They need it to go and service power lines and whatever it would be. And it was similar language, and I get it, because that's typically what you would see for something like this. But we didn't want, it didn't require an easement, because an easement can create other issues for you later in life. So what it is, and it came up, there's a permission, I forget what it's called, but it's like an authority, a permission to come on and service it and paint it. But it's not, you know, an easement that can go on for life and forever.
But the other way around, they should have been. So because of that delay, I'll give you some more inside baseball. So when you're an elected official, it's kind of cool where something that you had a part of and so forth. You know, they do the plaque that they're all being stolen now, the metal plaques and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool to have your name on it. So that Doodalicious, that was something Alex Saab and myself promoted on the council. We wanted that. Don Lincoln, we've known him as an artist. And by the way, that Doodalicious, that's his dream. We had other business saying, "Oh, why didn't they put up my business name on there?" It's what he remembers as a child, right? And he defined it, and I have the number 3 painting right there in the office. So when it took so long with this whole easement thing, that the last Don started painting it, I believe, like September 2014. So I got termed out of office in December 2014. I was out of office for a week when it got finished, and then got dedicated. So the kind of rule is you got to be in office, you know, your name gets on there and so forth. So here was Sean Ashton, hadn't even attended his first council meeting, that had replaced me on the council, and he got his name on the plaque down there. And I've been working on this for 4 years, and it works out evenly, I guess, for something like that. But Don Lamkins is really nice. He let Alex Saab and we painted our initials. It's in the little square things on there. Only us can tell, right? I mean, you can see it on there. So my initials on there. But it's always kind of bugged me when I walk by. It's like, man, I had something to do with that. And I didn't get it on there. But anyways, let's hope that they don't steal that one. They stole the one on the street in front of Portos for the street thing. And hopefully they won't steal the Portos one. Bob's Big Boy one got stolen, and the city's looking to replace it. So it's terrible how they do those things. So anyway,
it happens.
The mural thing you're talking about. So the folks, if you look up the city of Lompoc, they're known their downtown for murals. People drive there 20 miles out of their way to go see their murals.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying we should have a zillion murals, but man, if you have that art and the archway, a mural here. The Masonic Lodge has been really helpful in working with us now.
Absolutely.
And possibly have another one there along with wouldn't our downtown be great to be able to entice it with some public art like that?
Oh, of course. It's art, but it's also your identity, and it's also kind of your mission. It all can be put on the mural.
So you can walk the 4 or 5 blocks on it and do that and stuff like that. So, George, what's next for the DDA? What do you envision happening in the next year or so forth?
No, I think we're on the right path. We're continuing. I think we should hopefully see more improvements, similar to what we're talking about, the murals and things of that nature. I've seen quite a few improvements in the downtown area, which is, again, what we've done. We've attracted people. I know there's a couple new projects that'll be opening soon where they've spent millions of dollars invested into the downtown area. So
it would be
more of that.
Well, you have right across from Ola. They're finishing up that building there and so forth. The new brick building is pretty nice. They had a delay from what I heard, like one of the contractors passed away, and then there's also some other delays. But it's beautiful, and it's going to be Peking China, as we know, is not coming back. But after their fire, but we've spoken to the property owner. He's on our board, and he's got lots of people interested on there, so that's going to be.
Yeah, you have new restaurants coming. We have Shake Shack coming across the street. Another block down, you have Silver Lake Ramen.
Yes,
that's going to open too.
Right next to the Osa.
These are well-known establishments that are coming to Downey, which is great.
So we do that. I know I'm spoiled, but like today. I don't have a lunch appointment. When we finish taping these, and we do this in the morning, so later on this afternoon around 1 o'clock, I'll decide where do I want to go for lunch. And there's only 15 places just to walk on there. And I know, don't tell this to anybody, I can't go to Portos every week, okay? I just can't. I've been here for 10 years in this building. I love everything about Portos, but I need a week off once in a while. I shouldn't say that.
No,
but,
everyone eats.
Everyone. Well, yeah, you make some concoctions yourself over there, man. That's awesome.
I'm a creature of habit. Usually I'll have just an omelet in the morning and I have a salad.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I limit what I eat. But that's when I say I limit what I eat, it doesn't mean I limit myself to Portos. No, I eat at all the establishments.
Yeah.
I mean, we have good sushi around here. There's a lot.
Well, look at George on there. Obviously, he's a bicyclist. We were just talking yesterday about the 60-mile ride that he does, but he does the ones with the helmet, the skinny tires, the tight shorts. I always make fun.
I don't know who invented that for cyclists.
I know.
I say it's to scare children. I don't know.
But yeah, you're in shape from that. So I need to do. I have my little bike that I go 15, 20 miles, and I'm pooped out. So, well, George, thank you for being a guest. I've been wanting to have you on there for
Mario,
a while.
Thank you for everything you've done for Downey. I always say Mario Guerra bleeds Downey. I mean, there's no other way to say it. And I personally would not be here if it wasn't for you, nor the bakery, nor a lot of other people who are in the downtown area.
Well,
so
that's very nice. Very nice of you.
It's
Thank you.
because of you. So you've had an impact on my life and my whole family's life.
Well, thank you. That's very nice. Very
we
nice.
appreciate it.
I love Downey. One of my favorite, Dave Gaffin got me this when the day he was leaving, and I've been blessed to receive some awards and so forth. But Dave in the other office on there, and he had this thing made up, and Downey, Mario Guerra, Downey's #1 cheerleader, and I'll take that. I'll take that what you said about I'm passionate about our community. We have a good city, and we'll continue to do so. Anyway, thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
It.
Folks, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I want to thank our sponsor, Financial Partners Credit Union. I had a Financial Partners meeting last night, and they're doing some amazing things. Over 80,000 members. One thing I didn't realize, they have 18,000 aerospace members from that era. It's they were part of our history here, 80 years old, and they were founded in the city of Downey. So I want to thank Financial Partners for not only sponsoring us, for all the things they do for our community. We couldn't do this without them. And thanks for listening. I welcome your comments. Feel free to give me a call on my cell number, 562-706-4114, 562-706-4114, and leave your comments. We try to make the shows the things that you want to listen to. So, again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to Talking Downey.